I'm just going to welcome everybody here this evening and say thank you to Mr. Ross, who is doing all of the IT magic, and ask him if we are live streaming as of yet. We are. So welcome, Council, to our meeting, our regular scheduled meeting for Wednesday, April the 14th. And thank you for being here. Thank you to staff and those residents who are with us here tonight and those that are watching on our live stream. I just want to take a moment and advise you that our meetings are both audio and video recorded and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel, and shall form part of the record, which will be retained according to the town's retention bylaw. For more information about the collection, you can contact anyone in our clerk's office. So the first item is open forum, and we've had no one registered for open forum this evening. So our next item, item 3, is the approval of our agenda. We have one item that was given to us, which is a notice of motion from Councillor Arsati. So with that addition, I would ask for a mover and a seconder, please, to confirm or to approve tonight's agenda. Moved by Councillor Waters and seconded by Councillor Van Berkel. All those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. Next is disclosures of interest. Does anyone have a disclosure of interest for tonight's meeting, pecuniary or otherwise perceived? Seeing none, if one becomes apparent to you through our discussions, please just make it known at that time. Next is presentations and petitions, and we have one tonight, and that is Shelley Wright, and Shelley is going to talk to us about electrohypersensitivity. Ms. Wright, welcome to your council, your virtual council chambers, and we look forward to your presentation. Time-wise, we have 10 minutes for this presentation, and you can begin whenever you're ready, ma'am.
I just need participant screening available.
Okay.
It's disabled to share my screen. Hold on. Oh,
thank you.
I'll try once more. Oh, still disabled.
Okay, I'm going to ask someone in the clerk's office if they could allow for screen sharing for Ms. Wright.
Thank you. And just let me know when that is available.
Okay.
Please try now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we see it now, Ms. Wright.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll begin now. I have a disability called electromagnetic hypersensitivity, or simply EHS, which is considered and recognized by the International Code of Diseases. It is considered a disability in Sweden, the US, and the Canadian Human Rights Commission. I was diagnosed at Women's College Hospital when our town moved a proposed cell tower 3 kilometers away from our home, beach, school, and daycare area. My family had a place to live. When the government's push for broadband, with the government's push for broadband, what are Innisfil's accessibility plans for electrosensitive residents? Fiber optics or coax cables enable electrosensitive disabled residents to access essential services in our community. These are the questions I have this evening. Electrosensitive residents experience loss of essential services and limited participation in wireless communities. Symptoms can be debilitating depending on the wireless signal strength, my proximity to the source, and duration of exposure. The Bioinitiative report recommends levels not exceed 10 microwatts per meter squared. However, many EHS disabled people report feeling levels lower than this. My genetic test reveals biomarkers which help explain my EMF sensitivity. This is my medical accommodation letter from Women's College Hospital. This is the readable version. Hardwired technologies in airplane mode provide me with appropriate accommodations and accessibility. These are the sources of my debilitating symptoms. Symptoms linger from 8 hours to 3 days after wireless signals are absent. Innisfil residents with immune deficiencies, heart arrhythmias, Lyme disease, autism, or MS can become sensitive to wireless signals because of a genetic or environmental predisposition. Residents who have experienced concussions or the cumulative effects of toxic chemical or electrical exposures in the workplace, such as firefighters or hydrofield workers, may also become electrosensitive or more susceptible to cancers with additional cell tower exposures. Children are more vulnerable. Their skulls are thinner. Their cells are rapidly growing and they have a higher water content. Epidemiologist Dr. Deborah Davis expresses concerns about the effects of microwave radiation on the thinking and memory development of the fetal brain and its contribution to spikes in autism and childhood cancers. There is also clear evidence of increased electrosensitivity and cluster cancers around cell towers. Electrosensitive residents must avoid or significantly reduce their time in community events. This can lead to social isolation from family and friends. These are the community events which aren't accessible to me. These are the Innisfil facilities which are not yet accessible because of the triggers from wireless devices that can cause debilitating symptoms. At the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario annual provincial meetings, 800 teachers are asked to put their cell phones in airplane mode when wireless voting is not permitted to ensure equity for wireless EHS disabled members. The Shaw Festival, community theaters, and some movie theaters have appropriate accommodations and are accessible to me and my family. At the Royal Victoria Hospital, staff are trained to provide appropriate accessibility. I'm escorted to a private elevator, disability signs are posted, patients are asked to use airplane mode, and the doctor announces his phone is left at reception or on airplane mode. This disability sign is used in hospitals, medical clinics, and public places and events. These accessibility recommendations create appropriate accommodations for EHS disabled residents. These examples support accessibility for indoor facilities and outdoor events. These Innisfil facilities are becoming accessible to residents with EHS disabilities. They illustrate growing solutions. Creating an accessible outdoor community can be achieved by consulting environmentally disabled residents. Identifying their needs can reduce costly trial and error. Planning and implementing hardwired cable or high-speed fiber optic infrastructures for 3G, 4G, and 5G generations, minimizing cell tower installations and encouraging multiple providers to use the same tower and aim signals away from schools and daycares would reduce wireless signals. Fiber to the premises is safer. It's faster with speed of light downloads. There's no microwave radiation and is more reliable and secure for data security and privacy. Ensuring that cell towers are not installed at streetlight intersections will minimize wait times which can be intolerable for electrosensitive people. Innisfil can promote the Alora principle and encourage facilities to use on-off switches when wireless signals are not required. protecting parks, trails, and beaches, educating residents to foster an inclusive hardwired community, sharing Innisfil accessibility advisory plans and timelines with EHS disabled residents, and providing the opportunity for an electrosensitive resident to participate at some capacity on the Accessibility Advisory Committee and provide insight to accessible technologies for our community are key steps which can improve accessibility. Our town can encourage members and residents to use wireless signal strengths which are minimal but still maximize the efficiency of devices within the home. This prevents signals from reaching the public right-of-way on streets. These actions support the Ontarians for Disabilities Act and the Accessibility Law of 2025. Small antennas are currently installed every 5 to 10 houses for 4G. The medical and scientific communities have clearly demonstrated that 4G can trigger adverse health effects. In the future, these small antennas will also emit 5G 24/7. This would block access to the public right-of-way on sidewalks and therefore create a violation of civil rights and impose discriminatory barriers to the accessibility for EHS disabled residents. Signals would injure these residents and reduce their ability to enjoy a walk down their street or participate fully in their community. Annual monitoring of wireless signals from community cell towers needs to be paid for and documented by the provider and published on our town website. RF levels in public facilities should not exceed by initiative levels of 10 microwatts per meter squared at grocery stores and other stores, and the Alora principle should be practiced. Global bans against 5G proliferation are gaining momentum. Residents are concerned about the pervasive microwave signal exposures just outside their bedroom windows with no opportunity for nighttime healing. Countries and municipalities have taken steps to stop the proliferation of 5G mini cell towers. According to independent peer-reviewed studies, wireless 3G and 4G signals have a negative cumulative biological effect. They attack our endocrine hormonal systems, produce oxidative stress, lead to free radical production, inflammatory responses, and immune dysfunction. This plays a central role in all chronic diseases and recovery from pandemics such as COVID-19. Wireless signals attack the DNA of our cells, producing increased apoptosis, which is programmed cell death, and it can produce excessive intracellular calcium on our nervous systems, including our brain. These digitally pulsed microwave radiation signals lower male and female fertility, and they attack the cells of our body, which can cause cancer. The scientist appeal cannot be taken lightly. 5G millimeter waves were used by the military to control and disperse crowds. Signal levels follow Safety Code 6, but these levels exceed levels in other countries. Wireless signals can negatively impact plants and animals. Hardwired technology is better for everyone. Countries and municipalities have taken steps to stop the proliferation of wireless 3G, 4G, and 5G to protect their communities, and they recognize this creates accessible communities. Here's a summary of accessibility standards for indoor facilities. These solutions reduce wireless signals. These solutions educate the community. Community networks can be owned, operated, and controlled by communities. The book Reinventing Wires explains the business details for fiber optic and community networks. Dr. Timothy Sheckley is willing to speak to town councilors, so I urge each member of this town council to take a look at the website connectedcommunities.ca. These are successful communities who create fiber optic networks instead of wireless. Thank you for considering appropriate solutions to make Innisfil a fully accessible community so electro-sensitive disabled residents continue to live here. These are my questions, and this is just additional information.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wright, for being here. And if I'm not mistaken, have you not made a presentation to the Accessibility Advisory Committee as well?
Yes, I did. I'm just going to stop share here.
Okay.
Yes, I did make a shorter presentation to the Accessibility Advisory Committee, and also Sheena Symington from the Electrosensitive Society. She's the director. She also did a presentation. So she meets with town councils to do this presentation to promote solutions for electrosensitive disabled residents.
Thank you. Any questions from members of council? Comments from members of council? Councillor Waters and Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. Hello, Shelley. Nice to
Hello.
see you again, virtually anyways. Anyways, a question I have for you is that in our discussions around internet connections in the town, there's been the technology that Elon Musk is promoting, and that's his satellite technology. And I don't know enough about it to uh, say that it's a solution. So I'll ask you: is that a solution besides hardwiring?
The Elon Musk, is it a solution as instead of fiber optics to the premises?
That's correct.
Um, I have not explored the Elon Musk perspective so much right now. I do know that there's a radius of 5 kilometers, is what I understand. That at the he does a point to point. I guess the signals will go to certain towers, and there is going to be apparently a 5 kilometer radius. So anyone within that 5 kilometers could possibly be injured or affected by that. Um, I do know that there's fiber optics in many communities. They've applied for funding to get that to the premises to make sure that there aren't little mini cell towers along the street. The towers are what really creates the problem because proximity is a huge issue. Proximity and duration of exposure. So if you have many cell towers, 4G and 5G towers along the street, then that increases your proximity and affects the public right of way. So um, my husband just sent me a little message. I can't really read it. Oh, yes. So he just wanted to say he's an engineer and he just said that ground-based signals are worse than satellite. So definitely the signals actually coming from the satellite are not going to be strong, but then from the stations to at the ground level, that's where the 5 kilometer radius, that's what's going to impact everyone and affect, and it will injure electrosensitive people for sure, and people with neurodegenerative diseases and those other chronic illnesses I described already.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. Actually, Councillor Waters asked the question I was going to ask, but as you were answering, Ms. Wright, I thought about the internet availability to our rural residents, where it's unlikely that they will have access to fiber optics. I'm just wondering if the effect on electro hypersensitivity is lessened when you're in rural areas where the coverage of the waves is less intense.
Yes. So electrosensitive people are affected by levels that are higher than 10 microwatts per meter squared. So in a rural area, there's more opportunities to ground. The beach area is a perfect and safe area for me to go to heal, to ground in the water, and if there aren't cell towers in that area, I have the opportunity to heal, as well as parks in this area. I can't go to some areas where there's cell towers, like Friday Harbor. They have a cell tower there, and my husband and I tried to go there, and I can't. I got very ill very quickly and didn't even notice the cell tower. So just minimizing cell towers, the installation of cell towers makes a huge difference. If those cell towers can be monitored, the levels, to make sure they don't exceed 10 microwatts per meter squared near areas where electrosensitive residents are, is very helpful. It won't cause injury. And if there are areas of our community where we can ensure that we have low EMFs, that would be great. There's a doctor who is willing to meet with town councils, who has created a book, Reinventing Wired Communities, and there's also the website that I've posted this evening. Um, those are solutions that are available to answer many questions that you might have around that, and accessibility and levels, and solutions to create lower EMF communities. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Ben Burkle.
Thank you, Your Worship. I I've heard about this, but it's fairly new to me. So I was just wondering what the percentage is in the population of people that have this. I don't know whether you can answer that or not, but I'm just curious. Is there a lot of people that have it? Or
About 5 to 8% of people are severely electrosensitive. The director of the Electrosensitive Society has more statistical information about that. I believe that people who are mildly sensitive or moderately sensitive, the percentage there is 35%. Um, so, there is a range of people. So some people might just experience tinnitus, or the heart arrhythmia is one of the bigger issues and problems here, because we have had fatalities in Simcoe, and we have a heart sensitive child just a street over from me. And heart arrhythmias, according to Dr. Sinatra, he is an integrated medicine individual as well as a cardiologist. He said 1 in 700 children have this sensitivity, and it can lead to heart failure. So there is a larger number of people who aren't fully aware of why they are feeling ill, and they haven't connected the dots. They have migraines every day, but they're not debilitating to the point where they're lasting 3 days like I had. And they just, take the medications they need, and they just, don't worry about it. But for me, it became so debilitating, and I did start to get MS symptoms. I don't have MS. And if you look at Dr. Magda Havis's website, it will show you a video will show you how wireless signals can affect people with MS and things like that. So, um, mhm.
Thank you, Councillor Payne.
thank
Oh,
you.
sorry, Councillor Van Berkel. I didn't mean to interrupt. Okay, Councillor Payne. You're on mute, Councillor. Councillor Payne, you're still on mute.
I was being good and muted myself. Sorry. Is this age related for one, and how does one get tested? And I've been dealing with migraines, and I'm sort of in between health or the hydro towers, or the whatever towers you want to call them. So I'm this is sort of ringing bells to me here. I'm very interested in this, and I'd just like to know how we can get tested for this.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Yes, with any diseases or illnesses, as we age, our bodies aren't always able to tolerate toxins as much as we can when we're younger. But then younger children, they're more susceptible to this because they have rapidly growing cells. In terms of testing, there is an environmental doctor at Women's College Hospital. Her name is Dr. Rena Bray, and you are welcome to ask me questions later if you want more information about that. But there's a 2-year waiting list. And I communicate with 800 teachers annually, and a lot of them are very concerned that they can't get on the list. Was there, I don't know if I answered all your questions. Was there something else?
Councillor Payne.
A website that I can go on to get more information?
Yes. Okay. So I have a number of websites on my presentation that I added this evening.
Okay.
The Electrosensitive Society, there's the Environmental Health Trust, there's EPIC, and there's C4ST, which is Canadians for Safe Technology. So I'm happy to provide more information by email if that's helpful.
Great, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So I guess my final comment.
I have one more. I have one more quick thing to say.
Go ahead.
Councillor Payne, yes. One essential thing to do, and Dr. Magda Havis from Trent University, who's an EMF expert and has been doing this for at least 30 years, says that if you are concerned, document your triggers when you experience this. when you feel you are exposed to triggers and your symptoms. And that's what I did to find out what I was sensitive to, because I was completely surprised that this was what was impacting me. When I documented it, it was so clear within a few hours what it was. I tried to deny that my cell phone was causing this. So documenting it, and if you can be at home and remove all the wireless sources from your home as much as you possibly can, and see if there's a difference in how you feel, or go to a park or beach area where there are no signals uh, for days if you can, and see if you feel different. And just, recording the differences can give that knowledge to you. You'll realize, oh, I could be sensitive.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Ms. Wright.
yes, and taking measurements with RF meters. So RF meters are a scientific way of discovering what the levels are within your home. A building biologist can help you with that too. And there's the EMF Solutions website. Um, there's many websites that can help you. Rob Messenger has an excellent website, and he's a building biologist.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation that the presentation regarding electrohypersensitivity be received. And could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Payne and Councillor Waters. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you again for being with us tonight and sharing that information, Ms. Wright.
And thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next is item 6, delegations. We do not have any delegations this evening. Next is item number 7, which is County Council, Municipal Associations, Conservation Authorities, Committees, and our Emergency Operations Center updates. So I'll ask everybody to think about if they have any updates, but I'll go first to our EOC, and I believe that's Mr. Keogh.
Good evening, and thank you, Your Worship. So here is the update from our meeting that took place on April the 8th. A new declaration of emergency was issued as of April 7th, as of course we all know, and a stay-at-home order is now in place. Updates from our partners at the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit. All across our region, we did see an increase from the numbers from 2 weeks ago. Those numbers now in line with the province. But we did see as well younger demographics and our highest number of ICU patients since the beginning of the pandemic. There was also an increase in outbreaks across the region. On the vaccine front, the SMDHU has indicated that details on the municipal level is now available on their website. There has been a low uptake in certain regions in the age groups of 16 up. Unfortunately, transportation has been an issue for some.
Yes.
The SMDHU has been looking at setting up pop-up clinics, and just a reminder that we have redeployed some of our flyers with information to the public that has been deployed at our libraries that reminds our residents about the essential trips and the vouchers that we had in place that they can take advantage of. Our province has chosen one priority area in Simcoe, East Bradford, that will be able to get vaccinated for those 50 and up, maybe those 18 and up as well. And of course, our team, the Communications and Community Engagement team, has been assisting the SMDHU to get messaging out about vaccination. There was an important discussion about pitch in, and we are going to, when the minutes come up for in the agenda tonight later, I know our esteemed chair of the pitching committee, Councillor Fowler, will speak to that. On our enforcement front, South Simcoe Police and our CDSB team are working carefully on enforcement protocol to ensure safety. We did recently see some heightened frustration, aggression by some residents and businesses in response to the lockdown, and we did see a small spike of calls over that Easter weekend. As we all know, Town Hall remains closed. We are driving everyone to our online self-serve and over the phone options. We have full customer service over the phone, of course, and online. When all else fails, we can do in-person appointments, but the demand for that has not been very high. And lastly, just that our library hours have been updated during the stay-at-home order. And that's our update.
Thank you, Mr. Keogh. Questions or comments for Mr. Keogh? Councillor Fowler.
Yes, I thank you, Mr. Keogh. In regards to the library, I'd like to add a few things. Right now, because they've locked down the library due to the COVID measures put in place, they are offering iPads and patio service by appointment. So you call up, you make an appointment. Even if you don't have a computer, you can bring. They will provide an iPad for you. And as well, the library is still doing their services as always, which is incredible. They on April 17th at 2 p.m. if you register, they have a a worry creature workshop for the children that they're working in conjunction with Gilda's Club. It's hosted by a certified child life specialist, Jocelyn Leeworthy, and they're still trying to take care of everybody in their mental health and be incredibly supportive, as well as they've moved now once more to the curbside pick up and drop off model. So the library is still stepping up big time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. They are, and I would say thank you to them as well. They've been doing the care calls out into the community and helping those that are eligible who maybe need help getting their vaccinations booked. Anyone else have any questions or comments for Mr. Keogh? Seeing none, I have one, and that has to do with with customer services and coming up to a tax deadline, I believe, over the next little while, and that always sees our customer service desk busier. But of course, with it closed, there are options to write a check, drop it in the box at the town, or of course the e-transfer, or my favorite method, which is paying monthly, because I hate those giant bills twice a year. So I would much rather just pay my little bit every month and have it automatically withdrawn, and that takes that anxiety away. But just that I would expect, or that there might be an increase in requests for appointments near the tax due date. Did I see, Deputy Mayor, your card?
Hello. Thank you. In regards to the ELC meetings, what is I know this weekend we had some situations again with Airbnb in the Big Bay Point area. What are we proposing action for these coming weekends as we begin to warm up into our summer season with the Airbnb? Are we just going to knock on the door and ask to be nice and educate, or are we going to actually start finding people who are breaking the procedure?
We have a report on that a little later in the agenda, Deputy Mayor, that we can refer to. So
I did look at that, but there wasn't much on Airbnbs. And that was why I have this concern that I couldn't find a paragraph that just spoke on Airbnbs and how we're going to handle it as we begin the warm-up season.
Okay, we'll address that, and when that report comes up, if that's okay, because I did remember reading about Airbnb in that report. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Keogh? Any other reports from boards and commissions that you're busy sitting on? Do you have anything from county, Deputy Mayor?
Thanks. The only thing from county, Your Worship, is the fact that we spoke about waste and the concerns it's going to be for the municipalities in the future. I think we have to look at alternative solutions, talk with new companies that are out there, which of course, that's part of my background I've been working on for a while. So we do have to look at our waste and how there are not markets available anymore for some of the products that we were collecting. So I think collectively, we all need to sort of be a little smarter. And as you know, we have seen more waste on this side of our roads recently within the municipality, from couches this week, hot tubs this week. So I'm asking the town residents of Innisfil, be a little bit more conscious when you're dumping your garbage on the side of the highway or on the side of one of the side roads. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The good news in the report, the solid waste management report this week, was a huge increase in organics, diversion to organic, and Of course, it's just speculation, but the thought is that is due to the every other week garbage pickup. So people it's like a happy accident from that difficult decision that county made to switch to every other week garbage. But it has had a very positive effect on our organics collection, and we continue to be one of the leaders in the province in diversion from landfill. So we'll leave you with that little bit of good news. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move to our consent agenda items. So we'll start with our list of consent agenda items, and as normal, if anybody wants to make an amendment or pull it, please, or have a debate on it, we can refer it to committee of the whole. If you simply have a question, please feel free to bring it up at the time, and any items that aren't moved to committee of the whole, we will pass as confirmed at the end of the meeting. So the first item is the special council meeting minutes dated March 17th. Council meeting minutes dated March the 24th. The School Zone Traffic Safety Advisory Committee report dated March the 18th. I just want to highlight that for a moment, if you could, because there are some asks in there with that have some spending. The traffic study for Goodfellow School budgeted through the traffic committee. There was some concern because there's multiple things happening there right now. There's the path that's being built, the walking path. Also, that whole area is going to be under construction. So didn't know whether that would be a good time to actually do a traffic study with all of these other activities in the area that could skew the study from what it would be normally. So, but we have approved it, but just waiting and giving staff direction to wait until there's a time when we think all of those other items are completed, and it will be a more fulsome study. Also, it's talking about the speed enforcement camera that's in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, that they've been having great success with. So looking at joining them in that program. We've got the advantage of Bradford going first and South Simcoe Police already knowing that it has had some good success there. And of course, we'll continue to look at ways that we can include other traffic calming measures in our study that we're doing. And Councillor Van Berkel is sitting on the technical advisory committee for that group. Excuse me. So I just wanted to update and highlight that for anyone who might be watching. B2 is the pitching committee report for April the 1st. Councillor Fowler.
Poll, please.
Thank you. Next is staff reports for action. So C1, that was the additional information regarding 1205 Corn Street service allocation. Councillor Orsatti.
Thank you. I don't need to pull the report, Your Worship. I'd just like to make a comment on that one. I want to thank Council for deferring that item until this week, and also for the recommendation to have the allocation of the water wastewater come from the Innisfil Developers Allocation Group instead of the town, which is in the report that has now been recommended. So I want to thank Council for that in my absence.
Thank you. Next is item C2. That was the COVID-19 response, update number 7. Councillor Fowler.
I just have a question regarding the patio program.
Can we, sorry, Councillor, to interrupt. Could we defer that one, because I had some questions too, so we can have some fulsome discussion and we can answer the Deputy Mayor's questions as well.
I'm game with that.
Okay, thank you. Next, the staff report C3, Innisfil Transit 2020 results and updates. C4, CNC brand community planning permit system. Councillor Waters?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions. So can I pull that, please?
Thank you. Next is C5, the Alsami phase P1 phase 3 and 4 and 5 and the multi-trail development credit charges. Okay. C6, that would be Alcona Downs Development Incorporated exemption, part lot control exemption bylaw. Nothing. C7, the street naming for draft approved plan of subdivision for 1205 Horn Street. C8, the Innisfil Innovation Partnerships. Councillor Fowler.
Again, just a few questions. If we can just discuss it when the time comes, it'd be appreciated.
Okay, well, you want to ask the questions now, or do you want to pull it?
I'd like to pull it just to get the questions answered, please.
Absolutely. And that moves us to D1. That was the revised statement of council remuneration and expenses for 2020. Councillor Orsatti.
I don't want to pull that one, Your Worship. I just wanted to thank Finance for reviewing the report and rectifying the reporting error in the system, and assure residents that there was no ill intent or double dipping on behalf of Councillor Fowler and myself.
Thank you, Councillor. Next is items E. There were no bylaws and there are no correspondence for action. So that takes us to correspondence for information. So G1 is the Parental Alienation Awareness Day and Bubbles for Love Day, which is this Sunday. I brought my bubble wand and I was going to blow bubbles, but I won't do that tonight. I'll save them for Sunday. G2 was the proclamation about Mental Health Week, May 3rd to 9th. G3 was the Innisfil In-Services Board of Directors meeting minutes. And that is it. And then consent list continued. So we're going to pull those items, and I need a mover and a seconder, please. That would be Councillor Waters and Deputy Mayor Davidson. All those in favor? That is carried. Next, we have a motion to resolve into Committee of the Whole. And that is moved by Councillor Van Berkel, seconded by Councillor Ices. All those in favor? That is carried. So the first item that was pulled was by Councillor Fowler, and that was B2 Pitch-In Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. With the latest provincial decree locking everything down again, we've had to pivot once more with the pitching committee. But I just wanted to put forth in the minutes an amendment in regards to the information that's being presented. Now it is dated for the original intent was to do it from May 1st to May 14th, but that is going to be delayed. I'd like to change the wording in that if possible, that we move it to the Pigeon family event be moved to a date after the stay-at-home order has been lifted officially by the province. That way we can keep everybody aware and we're not coming back constantly pushing it back and pushing it back. Once we get everything secured and settled, we can then from that point set a firm date and then move forward accordingly. Now, just to keep everybody aware, it's not going to be a regular pitch-in day like we've had in the past. We're looking to do it over a 2-week period. And the reason we're doing this is we're prioritizing the residents' health and well-being over the event itself. We're looking to set up a form you sign online. And once you register officially, we will have kits that you will come by and with the one-way pass, come pick up. We're working with various people to work getting that set up. Once you're registered, you're put into a draw, and the draw is going to be, now normally what we have is we have the local residents and we have the businesses support pitch-in day. Considering COVID's kind of turned everything on its ear, we're looking for a way to support them. So we're going to be getting draws. We're trying to figure out the process to be fair to everybody, local businesses who we can support, who needs it, who's helped us in the past. And once you register, you get your once it's one per family. So once the family registers and they go out, they pick up their kit, they go, for example, they claim a section, for example, of 25th Side Road. They go, they leave the garbage bag on site, and then they call customer service, and customer service then would reach out to operations. Operations would go do this once a day. They go through with a list of names and locations that they have, and they pick it up. Now, just to be aware, just so everyone else is aware, the funding for the gift cards is not coming from any town coffers. It's coming from donations that were made last year. We held on to them, and now we're trying to turn it to the rightful people in the community, that the ones that are trying to beautify the town by supporting the businesses and supporting the people who officially register. It's a work in progress, but we're making it happen.
Thank you. Councillor Fowler, do you have a seconder?
Deputy Mayor Davidson.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Worship. I want to acknowledge that because we haven't had to have our day, is that I've noticed residents picking up garbage on a regular basis. I noticed a gentleman in his scooter going along Innisfil Beach Road, picking up garbage and putting it in his basket in front of us. I was so impressed with that. I've noticed people in the park picking up garbage. So I just want to thank those residents who have taken upon themselves to help us in this time. And the reason I'm a little bit sensitive to it is that my father-in-law, who just recently passed away, he was from the town of Sterling, and he was known for going around and cleaning up the streets. There were articles in the paper and everything else. So it's nice to know that these people exist in all communities. And I just want to make sure we acknowledge them appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Waters. Councillor Payne.
I have some bags left over from the last time that we did the pitch in, and I was going to go out and pick up the garbage on my own by myself. And then I read somewhere that the bags for this year are yellow. The bags I have are just clear bags with black writing. So if I use the old bags, would the town still pick them up? Or would I have to dispose of them?
Until pitch-in officially starts, we can't promote it very well. But I mean, if you were to clean up a section of land and leave it, I'm pretty sure if you spoke to customer service, they might be able to pop by and pick up a bag or so, if I understand correctly.
Oh, it may be a little bit more than a so.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask staff if they could respond to that. Mr. Keel?
Hello, through your worship to Councillors Fowler and Payne. The plan is still ideally to have that in place so that once a resident goes, picks up their litter, puts it in the garbage bag and leaves it in a safe spot in front of their home, they make a call to our customer service team, and we do send a crew to come by and pick it up. That is still the intended plan.
Thank you. And Mr. Keo, that's what's happening now. So if the man with the scooter, if he had a bag of garbage, he can call into customer service and have it picked up, regardless of whether or not it's pitch-in time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Councillor Nicol.
Hey, Worship, it's great to hear that this is going to eventually get off the ground again. I know it was canceled last year, I guess selfishly or somewhat tongue-in-cheek to see if we can generate some other interest. But I know that Ward 7 was the reigning two-year champ, and last year the Golden Broom was not awarded. So to me, that is a three-peat, because that would, if nobody could win, then we would retain the broom. So I'm wondering this year, will it be 4 years in a row for Ward 7? And I believe the mayor was also recognized as well for having the most in this area. So looking forward to retaining my broom, and I look forward to when we can all get together and push some stuff around. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Van Berkel.
Yeah, Your Worship, I figured the broom be worn out by now.
For those watching, the council coveted prize for the most residents who have the most residents engaged in pitch-in. The ward councillor wins the Golden Broom, which is a broom with gold spray paint on it. And I think that the staff team that gets the most people out and picking up gets the golden dustpan. So very coveted prizes here in Innisfil. Any other questions or comments on this item? Deputy Mayor Davidson.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, we've had a gentleman going around the point. I think he won one of the awards from the town last year as a resident, but he's been already out for the last 3 weeks picking up garbage on Big Bay Point Road, 25th Side Road. You'll see his bags there. And I think they're disappearing. The bags are being picked up by someone. So whoever's doing it, I appreciate it. But this gentleman does it every year, and it's just amazing the effort he puts into it. So I know who it is, but I'd like to sort of thank him if he's watching. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's great to see so many residents take pride in their community. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the motion as amended has been duly moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. The next item we had pulled was item C2, and that was also Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. It was just some questions I have regarding the COVID update.
Let's get a seconder first,
Sorry.
Councillor, and then we'll get it on the floor. So Deputy Mayor Davidson, go ahead, Councillor.
Regarding the, I want to give out kudos for extending the patio program. I know that there's a lot of businesses when the weather warm up that will become their bread and butter as it allows them to at least function in an appropriate manner and serve the community. Mike, I have a few questions regarding that. One is, how will this message be relayed? Like, I understand where you're going to go through the normal channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and whatnot, the website. Will we be informing the previous applicants? Will we be contacting them directly, or will we be expecting them to see this through the social media outlets? And I saw something regarding the liquor license regulations. Now, I'm not sure. Does that mean that those with the patios will be allowed to serve alcohol, or is this something that we're looking into?
So the liquor change, the amendment to the Liquor Licensing Act was made to allow it to extend to these new patios. And it was supposed to expire, but now it's been extended by a year. But I should be asking staff to answer this question. Who in staff would like to speak about patios? And then I think we're going to have some Airbnb questions as well. Mr. Vickers?
Hi. Hi, through you, Your Worship. The liquor license that is for the facility inside, the proprietors can't host their clients in, will extend for the same number outside if they have that area outside to be able to accommodate them. So it's just whatever we're doing inside, we should be able to do outside now in a safe manner. That's the concept, as I understand it.
Thank you. Other questions, Councillor Fowler?
Yes, I was
about
just
advising, sorry, Mr. Keogh is going to talk about how we're going to get the word out to patios.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Fowler. In addition to the robust channels and tools that we have, we also have an economic development team that maintains quite a contact list of our local businesses. So, when these kinds of things are happening, we're usually working hand in hand with that team just to make sure that as an extra measure, those communications are reaching them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, did you want to ask about the Airbnb amendments, the part 2 of the recommendation?
Yeah, I've been going through it here on my other computer, and I can't see much on Airbnb itself. There's 27 pages I viewed. I guess the problem I'm having when I'm getting calls on the weekends is from constituents in the area living next door to these Airbnbs. This particular one had 17 people on Friday night, and I guess similar to that on Saturday night. It's a continuous situation, and actually in front of his second Airbnb, the guy has the second one on the same street. The bush is loaded with garbage, so it's obvious the tenants are just walking the garbage across the road and dumping it. I don't know, what is our practice? Is to still keep educating and being nice, or are we actually going to really start cracking down on these Airbnbs that are just turning into party houses on the weekend? And I'm also aware that at Friday Harbor this previous week, our police teams were brought in full gear twice at Friday Harbor. Again, the rumors I'm hearing is probably just rumors, people who live there, that they're Airbnbs as well. So we've got to, I feel we've got to start taking a stand with the strength on our ability to charge these owners or whatever we're going to do under the COVID-19 lockdown. Can I get some advice on that, please, so I can tell my constituents?
Certainly. Ms. Verbosch.
Through you, Mayor Dolan. Since the outset of COVID, the town has been working with both the South Simcoe Police and SMDHU, and we've developed a comprehensive call-out protocol for any calls related to COVID. For Airbnb, we get a number of different calls. We acknowledge that there have been some party house calls, and currently the protocol for party house calls, they are fed through customer service. They're directed right to South Simcoe Police for enforcement. And we've also just recently started coordinating with Airbnb, who've implemented their own ban on party houses. So we've started working with them for enforcement purposes.
Thank you. And I can tell you that I reached out to the gentleman at Airbnb, and he sent back to and explained the situation that we're having here, that it's unfortunate because there's hundreds, and many of them are operating quite legally and lawfully and following all the rules. Unfortunately, we've got a few bad ones that are tainting the entire group. But there is on their website, he pointed out to me that you can go right on the Airbnb website and report a party house right on their website, as well as calling the police.
Okay, can you make sure that that website is up on the on our town site so people can contact Airbnb directly? I think that would help a lot. But this person keeps doing it every weekend. Obviously, he's not being fined, and it has to come to a head. I mean, it's every weekend he's doing it. And we need to get our South Simcoe Police to actually start finding and not just teach and educate anymore. I think that's the only way this guy's going to get the message, because he seems to be blatantly shucking it off. So that's all I need to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Verbosch, I believe we did pass last July the bylaw that allows the fine to go to the owner of the property. And I do believe at the last EOC meeting, I remember Chief Fletcher saying that they were past the point of educating now. They were at the point of fining. Am I correct?
For certain calls, I believe that is the case. And before you with this report, Mayor Dolan, is an amendment to that section of the COVID emergency measures bylaw to introduce offenses under the ROA. The current iteration of that bylaw is only for offenses under the EMCPA. So that will assist by providing both bylaw and South Simcoe an additional tool to go after the owners of these Airbnb party houses.
Wonderful. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Orsatti.
Thank you. It's quite an extensive report and covers a lot of areas, but I'm just wondering, I know with the current lockdown and the nice weather that we've been having, I presume that there's going to be regular updates to council on the COVID-19 response and what staff are doing. I'm just wondering about changes that will be required for our parks, for our basketball court areas, where we're starting to see, and teens out there with motocross bikes and everything. I mean, people need, you're locked down and people are stuck at home and they're looking for outdoor activities. And I just presume that there'll be something that staff will be looking at in the near future in addressing those as our COVID plans are changing by the minute and day. So I'm just wondering, will this be a monthly report? When we could expect the next one?
Thank you, Councillor. So that's why under item 7, Mr. Keogh tonight is giving our every meeting, we're going to have an EOC update. He gives them verbally because, as you mentioned, by the time it gets in writing, it's too late. You know, something's changed. It's all out of date. So we'll continue every meeting having an EOC update from that group. This report is about working the magic that Ms. Verbosch does by making sure that we have our enforcement and that all of our bylaws are relevant, because as you know, the province changes from the EMTCA to the stay-at-home to it keeps changing. So we have to keep amending our bylaws to make sure that they're up to date with the regulations coming out of the province.
And just then as an add-on, I think from the EOC and from communications, it would be good to have on the town website then how our residents can contact bylaw after hours, because, you know, that's when a lot happens and then they can't reach staff. So I understand that they can still contact the town number for customer service. They press 5 and they can leave a message for bylaw. But I think it would be helpful if that was on maybe on the town website and how to reach bylaw after hours would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Keogh has got thumbs up there, so he's heard that loud and clear. Ms. Foster.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Orsatti. Staff will be working to provide formal COVID updates on a quarterly basis moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Any other questions or comments on our COVID response update number 7? Seeing none, we've got a mover and a seconder already. So all in favor of the recommendation? That is carried. Next is Councillor Waters with item C4.
Thank you, Worship. I'm going to withdraw that because I must have misread the report. And when I read it again, I noticed my question was included in the report. So I'll just withdraw that.
Oh, and Mr. Cannon was all ready to answer. Okay, but we'll need a seconder for it to move the recommendation. So that's Councillor Nichols, the seconder. And anyone else have any questions or comments on the report? Seeing none, all those in favor? You're off the hook, Mr. Cannon. All right, and next is C8, and that was pulled by Councillor Fowler. If we could have a seconder, Councillor, first. Councillor Nichol, and go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was looking at this report. Just bring it up here one moment. Under the Innisfil Innovative Partnerships. And there's a few questions that came to mind. There's terminology that I'd like to get a little bit of clarification on, and before we move forward. One is called, they're referring to semi-autonomous units for snow plows on the sidewalks and whatnot. Now, are we talking about somebody that's present with the machine, or is it someone who's using the machine via remote control in a different location? This is something that I like the idea, don't get me wrong, but I want to know the amount of control that we have over this in this particular scenario.
Mr. Melanishin?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Fowler, this is going to be part of the prototyping through this project, understanding the limitations going forward. Are we able to do just semi-autonomous? Are we able to do autonomous snow plowing of sidewalks without any human intervention? And this is the grant funding that the Ontario Centres of Innovation has provided for this partnership to experiment with these different things. So we are piloting in very controlled situations to get a better handle and understanding of how we are able to and our ability to move forward with these these pieces of equipment.
Okay, if I may, the second question I have is regarding the Intellite. Now, am I reading this correctly when we're saying that it's an all-in-one concept for the streetlights? So we're looking in essence for signal boosters, LED technology, sensors, cameras. Like, am I reading this correctly in that regard?
Mr. Milanish.
Through your worship, again to Councillor Fowler, yes, once again, we're testing the prototype. It's mostly sensor driven to help us provide the most efficient services that we can to the residents using the latest technologies. Once again, prototyping in very controlled situations to get a good handle on parking spot detection, road hazard detection, all in very controlled parking lot situations to see how we can utilize the technology and develop strategies around it for data management.
Thank you. And lastly, one last thing with the financial consideration. I'm very much in support of this project due to the fact that it says there are no financial impacts associated with this report. But the question that comes up now is, other than the allocation of in-kind contributions. Now, that's not a terminology I'm familiar with. If you could elaborate for me, it'd be appreciated.
Mr. Milanish.
Through your worship, thank you, Councillor Fowler. The Ontario Centre of Excellence always wants to show that an organization has skin in the game. And if you want to put it bluntly, what in kind is. It's not necessarily a full out cash outlay. It'll be our participation in the project, staff time, use of our street lights, which in theory could be rent, office space in the rental Ryerson DMZ. So things that are typically in the normal course of our day, but we get to allocate that time towards these projects in recognition of our support for those projects. So in kind is our participation in the project, which is not anything above and beyond our operating budget. So there's no incremental cost to these exercises.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone, Ms. Bowman did send an email out to all of us about she wanted to let us all see the robot, the top hat robotics. Well, I'm sure she was the only one in Innisfil that was hoping for more snow so that she could show us how this works on our sidewalks. But we had an early spring, so she was out of luck. But it's great to see that that these companies are seeking us out because of our reputation for being innovative. And it just goes to show you that when you are known for that companies like this will seek us out for these projects. So it's wonderful that we're going to have this opportunity. So we, Councillor Orsatti.
Sorry, trying to find my mute button there. I just wanted to say I thought this was an exciting report. It offers, to pilot technology allows us to look at how successful it is, and especially for our community and the sidewalks we have, and with that being one of the concerns in snow plowing, looking at that near school areas to have those sidewalks cleaned would probably make a lot of parents a lot more comfortable. But I think just the opportunity to pilot technology, to look at it, who knows how this could help us save in our capital budgets, looking in the future when we need equipment. And I just wanted to say, I thought it was really exciting. And, it was probably self-serve checkout counters that started this way. So just letting you know.
Thank you, Councillor Orsatti. I was thinking of my son has one of those robot vacuums in his house. So I guess it's sort of the same thing as that as well. And I would say that if it can navigate the Cookstown sidewalks that are over tree roots and around, and sometimes 70 or 80 years old, it can navigate any sidewalk. So seeing no more hands, and I'll ask for a vote on that item. Are you voting, Councillor Van Berkel, or did you have a question?
No, Your Worship. I actually wanted to comment on C7, but you missed me when I put my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's vote on this, and then we'll go back to C7. So all in favor of C8? That's favor. That's carried. I'm sorry. And C7, go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that I'm glad to see that we're starting to name more and more streets after veterans. Mateer is an old, I think, a pioneer name in Innisfil. And there was several Mateers that served in World War II. So I was happy to see that.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm sorry I missed you. Thank you. So next is the resolve to, or the consent list continued. So we're adoption, okay. I'll wait till the screen stops. There we go. Rise recommendation. So that's moved by Councillor Orsatti and seconded by Councillor Payne. All those in favor? That is carried. And consideration to adopt the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole that we just discussed. Moved by Councillor Van Berkel and seconded by Councillor Waters. All those in favor? That is carried. And we have two notices of motion this evening. Notice of motion 10.1 by Mayor Davidson and notice of motion 10.2 by Councillor Orsatti. And we will be dealing with those at our next meeting. And announcements. Councillor Fowler.
I'm sorry, Worship. Apparently, I'm talking quite a bit tonight. In this past week, we've had the Simcoe County Regional Science and Technology Fair. I was very lucky. It's my son's first attempt at it. But Innisfil came out with 6 awards. 4 came from St. Francis of Assisi. There was a young couple of gentlemen who won in the junior category, the Linear Transfer Automation Award. There was the Physical and Mathematical Science Award, a junior division, where a young lady got gold. The best of the physical and mathematical sciences, this young lady got gold. And the Human Health and Sciences junior division, they won the bronze, again, for St. Francis of Assisi. However, I would be remiss if I didn't point out very proudly that my son, in his very first attempt, came back with the Human Health and Sciences Elementary Division bronze in the awards, as well as the Future Scientist Award, which is a very, very coveted award, I am told. So I'm a very proud papa. So Innisfil did really well. Our youth are coming up, and it seems to be a technological theme tonight. And let's keep the kids going, right? Because I mean, they're their future.
Absolutely. Congratulations to your son. Very well deserved, I'm sure. Other announcements? Councillor Orsatti.
Just to remind everyone that next week is the National Volunteer Appreciation Week. And I think we need to thank all the volunteers that we know in our community that have spread a lot of love, a lot of joy, and there's so many. And if we just recognize and saying thank you tonight, and for each of us to reach out.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing none, I've got 2. So first, I just wanted to, following the theme of Councillor Fowler and the future of our municipality, I had the great honor to be a guest speaker on an Evening of Excellence, which was a student empowerment webinar put on by Nantyre Shores Secondary School. It was just an incredible event. There was singing, there was poems, there were just speaking of the challenges some of our youth have been through, and just some of the amazing, incredible dreams of these individuals. And it was called Together We Rise. And I was just astounded at the at that sense of groundedness and how well all of these students kind of knew themselves and were comfortable in themselves and confident in their future. And it just made, I just left thinking, you know, our future is in very good hands. And the only thing that makes me sad is many of them are graduating and going away to, you know, university, post-secondary school in other communities. And I just hope and pray that they come back to Innisfil. So it was a wonderful night. And also following up on Councillor Orsatti's comments about Volunteer Appreciation Week. It's from April the 18th to the 24th. And although we can't be together like we have been in other years, we do want to recognize all the wonderful volunteers in Innisfil. We're proud to have such wonderful individuals in our community who are willing to provide assistance to support others, as well as provide their time and their ideas on various projects and initiatives. Your value is priceless. And I would like to give a special shout out to our police and fire volunteers as they provide invaluable service to our residents, especially during these times. Working together, Innisfil is a great place to live, work, and play. And in these challenging times, I know your hearts have only grown larger. So to all of our volunteers in every capacity in our community, thank you, thank you, thank you. Any other announcements for this evening? Seeing none, we'll move into the confirming bylaw and ask for a mover and a seconder to confirm the events from this evening. Councillor Ices and Councillor Van Berkel, all those in favor? That is carried. And finally, our adjournment at 8:15. My goodness, it's an early one. Councillor Nicol and Councillor Fowler are our movers and seconders, and all those in favor? That is carried. So thanks everybody who joined us tonight. We'll be meeting again on the 28th of April or at the call of the chair if anything happens in the meantime. But appreciate everybody being here tonight, and all of staff. If you wish to turn your camera on. I want everybody to know all the support that we have behind us to help answer our questions and guide us. And they're all here to listen to our direction and make it so. So thanks everyone. Have a wonderful evening and good night all.